Hi.
Hi. Hello to the people.
Hi, Ray. Hi, Angie. Hi, Mikey.
What's going on?
How are you guys doing?
It's not our
Normal night anymore.
it's not our normal night anymore, but we need to finish up Ted Bundy because we have a lot of stuff to do next week for Psycho Bunny. So
Oh, yeah.
got Mikey's feed tomorrow night. We're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be about a Civil War ghost, right, Mikey? Yes. Tom Dooley. Yep. It's gonna be cool.
It's going to be really neat. All right, let's get this started, guys.
Yeah. So Tedmund Bundy.
Tedmund?
I like Tedmund. Well, he killed co-eds too, just like Edmund Kemper did.
Well, yeah, but
Real fast.
he did the whole, I'm hurt, help me, baby bird.
Yeah. I'm a baby bird. We're going to have something cool at the end of the show tonight. Yep. Something
Stay
really,
tuned.
really cool. So,
All right,
let's do this.
So, we actually left off with, did you remove it?
No.
Okay. Son of a bitch. This is when he got arrested. That was his mugshot from 75. And that is when Bundy got arrested in Utah.
I'm being fancy tonight. I'm drinking beer from a wine glass. Liz is like,
Why can't you just drink beer from a bottle or a can like normal people?
like the rest of us. My response was, I'm not a communist.
Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Kelly! Hi, Damon.
What's up, Ray?
Hey, I'm sorry. I know you want us to call you Ray. I'm so sorry. I keep doing it every single time.
Well, I know you're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in September of, I'm assuming 75 at this point, Bundy sold his Beetle to a Midvale teenager. Utah police impounded it, and the FBI technicians dismantled it and searched it. Poor kid.
Hey, Frank. Thanks for... bring that up real fast. Angie.
What?
Angie I saw on her Facebook earlier, she was having a bad day, and I was like, hey, come over here and we'll entertain you and make you feel better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hope your day's going better.
So, yep. So we're cheering you up. I'll take my shirt off later or something. I'm kidding. I took my sweater off last time.
My sweater?
No?
Because you were wearing this one first.
No, I was wearing that sweater yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We wear each other's clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I wear her
He'll
panties.
probably be wearing...
What?
What?
Who said that?
Who?
Natalie!
Learn to play games. Hey, Natalie. All right. So, yeah, if you guys can't tell, my hair is doing its own thing now. I gave up.
Sykes! What's
Sykes
going on?
can strip.
Yeah. Me and Sykes, we can strip for you, Angie. We'll get this done.
Whoa.
We will cheer you up.
Don't blame you. Sorry, Angie.
Oh. Ha-ha.
I don't blame you.
We don't blame you one bit. Thank you.
So they found hairs in the bug that matched samples obtained from Karen Campbell's body. Later, they also identified hair strands microscopically indistinguishable from those of Melissa Smith and Carol Durant. FBI lab specialist Robert Neal concluded that the presence of hair strands in one car matching 3 different victims who had never met one another would be a coincidence of mind-boggling rarity.
It's like, so Frank wears Liz's underwear and Liz wears Frank's underwear. Well,
And Liz wears Frank.
Liz wears Frank's. Oh, Frank. This beer's 12%. I'm already into it.
Oh, where did my drink go?
What drink?
My coconut water.
I can go get one for you real fast.
That's okay.
Okay.
I think it's over there somewhere.
Okay.
I'll get it later. I just gotta finish it. All right. Sorry, guys. Settle down, Frank. Settle down. Sit.
Said it was set. Good dog.
Ubu never did anything,
You know
though.
the best part. You guys ever seen the Japanese anime Inuyasha? He was part dog demon, and every time they told him to set, he had to set. He would slam down to the ground real fast. One of my favorite animes of all time. Anyway,
I don't understand how Ubu was ever a good boy. Because Ubu never listened.
Ubu was a bitch.
Ubu never listened. Sit,
Ubu.
Ubu, sit. And he'd be like, they're all good boy. What?
I don't know.
Never did anything.
Okay.
Damn dog. Okay. So on October 2nd, detectives put Bundy into a lineup DeRanche immediately identified him as Officer Roseland, and witnesses from Bountiful recognized him as the stranger at the high school auditorium. There was insufficient evidence to link him to Deborah Kent, whose body was never found, though a skeletal fragment found near the school was later identified as Kent's by DNA analysis. Liz, where's Frank? Yep. He's all I did.
I did. Okay.
There was more than enough evidence to charge him with aggravated kidnapping and attempted criminal assault on the DeRanche case. He was freed on $15,000 of bail paid by his parents and spent most of the time between indictment and trial in Seattle. Living in Elizabeth Clofer's house, Seattle police had insufficient evidence to charge him in the Pacific Northwest murders, but kept him under close surveillance. When Ted and I stepped out on the porch to go somewhere, so many unmarked police cars started up that it sounded like the beginning of the Indy 500, Elizabeth said.
Damn, they wanted him.
Yeah.
This is the first...
Yes, we're talking about Napoleon Dynamite.
Mikey, I remember the Ubu dog coming out after this show, Northern Exposure. Yeah, I remember that show. Hi, Chandra!
What's up, Chandra?
Hurry up and get over the Rona. So you can,
missing all the chit-chat.
So you can come over and help us host on Fridays.
Well, don't catch the Rona is the big thing here.
Don't catch the Rona.
So, in November, the three principal Bundy investigators, Jerry Thompson from Utah, Robert Keppel from Washington, and Michael Fisher from Colorado, met in Aspen, Colorado, and exchanged information with 30 detectives and prosecutors from 5 states.
You said ass.
How many people did Ted Bundy murder?
I have the victims list at the end of this.
We do have a victims list with
but
a
that's
count.
not the special thing we're going to show.
So, while officials left the meeting, later known as the Aspen Summit, convinced that Bundy was the murderer they sought, they agreed that more hard evidence would be needed before he could be charged with any of the murders for them to stick. In February of 1976, Bundy stood trial for the DeRanche kidnapping.
30 women.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it was...
That's the confirmed number. So honestly feeling worn down, but not sick yet. Oh, okay.
Well, that was part of it for me.
Yeah, that was part of that's how we were.
But I got bad.
Back in
December,
January.
So in February of 1976, Bundy stood trial for the DeRanche kidnapping. On the advice of his attorney, John O'Connell, Bundy waived his right to a jury due to the investigation publicity surrounding the case. After a 4-day bench trial and a weekend of deliberation, Judge Stuart Hanson Jr. found him guilty of kidnapping and assault. In June, he was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in the Utah State Prison. In October, he was found hiding in bushes in the prison yard carrying an escape kit. It had road maps, airline schedules, and a social security card. And he spent several weeks in solitary confinement for it. After that month, Colorado authorities charged him with the Karen Campbell murder. After a period of resistance, he waived extradition proceedings and was transferred to Aspen in January of 1977.
Did he
in the yard?
In his yard?
It was he was found hiding in the bushes in the prison yard.
Yeah. That was the first one.
That wasn't really the escape because he was trying, but
Sykes
he
actually
didn't.
Did he stuff them in the front trunk of his Beetle?
Yes.
Did he? I think he...
They found hairs in the trunk.
That's true. I was going to say, for the most part, he did kill them on spot at his little spot.
In an Urkel-mobile.
In an Urkel-mobile.
I used to have a 73 Super Beetle, and I loved it. And it was fire engine red.
Wasn't that Beetle also in a movie?
It was in Lethal Weapon.
Yep. Her Beetle was in Lethal Weapon.
It was the car I came home from the hospital in when I was born. And it was originally tan. It was painted fire engine red. And then for the movie, they did a peel-off paint for it and painted it black. And don't worry, it's not the actual one that got destroyed. There's like, for every one car that's destroyed in a movie, there's probably about 5 of them. But they have one specific car that they never destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Just think if Bundy, Manson, and Dahmer had a bastard child, we'd all be screwed.
Well, Bundy, Manson, and Dahmer were on South Park. They were, and they had them playing the Three Stooges, which was fucking awesome.
That was fantastic.
The Halloween episode with
yes.
Where Satan had a my 16 or
the Sweet 1600 or something. So on June 7th, 1977, lucky number, huh? Bundy was transported 40 miles from Garfield County Jail in Glenwood Springs to Pitkin, County Courthouse in Aspen for a preliminary hearing. He had elected to serve as his own attorney and as such was excused by the judge from wearing handcuffs or leg shackles.
By the way, if you guys want to see some hilarious shit, you can go and look up like Ted Bundy in his court case. Like
no, that was Alcala that changed his voice.
No, not changing his voice. Like just Ted Bundy defending himself.
Oh, it's still pretty funny.
It's fucking hilarious. Like the guy
Bundy does have a child. You're right.
Yep, he does have a child. Bundy is a sociopath, and he thought he was smarter than everyone else. Like every other serial killer defends himself.
Like every other sociopath.
And, yeah, it's hilarious.
And narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
The one that. It was Alcala, right?
Alcala did defend himself, but he
changed his voice.
Hey, Carl.
Hey.
He changed his voice.
He changed his voice from being to a deeper tone when he was the lawyer. Yeah. And then he would speak normal. Now, mind you, Alcala has a extremely high IQ.
He did it when he was cross-examining the witnesses and stuff like that. So it was more of a. He was smart.
He did it with himself too.
He did,
which was hilarious.
I think he was also somewhat trying to intimidate witnesses and everything like that. Actually, have a deeper voice and stuff like that.
Well, he has an IQ of like 176.
Yeah, he's the smartest serial killer
that we know of.
If he spot my nose,
smartest that we know of.
Yeah.
There could be some smarter out there. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
I know you have the sound off, so hi.
I sound off. I'm busy. Oh, he's working. Okay. So, on to it.
All right. So, during a recess, he asked to visit the courtroom's law library to research his case. While shielded from his guard's view behind a bookcase, he opened a window and jumped to the ground from the second story, injuring his right ankle as he landed. Hey, he finally had a reason. Hey, Connor. Yes, his daughter's name is Rose. You are correct. And she's not happy about who her dad is. Whereas
read that with in the tempo of rolling down the street in my sixth phone. Yep. Rolling down the street, whacking women.
No. Rolling down the street.
Oh, that one.
Gin and juice.
Gin and juice, yeah. I always have what was it, Rolling My Homies? I can't think of the fucking name of the song.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
There you go. Jocking the bitches, smacking the hoes. I fucking love it.
I like actually the slowed down version.
No titties tonight.
Sorry.
You got jigglies. That's it.
Jibblies.
So, okay, we gotta get cracking.
Yes, we do.
Because the Kraken's behind us.
So he injured his right ankle, which finally gave him a reason to actually wear a cast. As he landed. After shedding an outer layer of clothing, he walked through Aspen as roadblocks were being set up on its outskirts, and then hiked onward into Aspen Mountain. Near its summit, he broke into a hunting cabin and stole food, clothing, and a rifle. The following day, he left the cabin and continued south toward town of Crested Butte. If you take the E off the end, it's Crested Butt.
Crescent butt, or it's crescent butte,
It's Butte.
or butte. It's crescent. It's forever crescent butte. Butte now.
Butte.
Butte.
But became lost in the forest. For 2 days, he wandered aimlessly in the mountain, missing 2 trails that led him downward to his intended destination. So he was retarded when it came to walking, like hiking. He couldn't figure out where his north was.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was adept at killing. He was not very smart with anything else.
Pretty much.
He did have a high IQ, but
actually, he didn't have that high of an IQ.
he was above.
It was
average.
a little bit above average, but so was Manson.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, Sykes. I still think if Hannibal Lecter was real, Dahmer, Manson, and the rest of the killers would bow down to his. Bow down
to his
Lecter. To as Lecter. Okay. But yeah, I agree with that. But Lecter would be a missionary killer because he didn't. As long as you weren't rude and you were super nice and polite, he wouldn't kill you.
So, on June 10th, he broke into a camping trailer on Maroon Lake, 10 miles south of Aspen, taking food and a ski parka. But instead of continuing southward, he walked back north towards Aspen, eluding roadblocks and search parties along the way. 3 days later, he stole a car at the edge of an Aspen golf course.
So he got away because he didn't know which way he was going. That's literally what happened here. He got away from the cops.
Because he was a derp.
Because he didn't know which way was north.
And so 3 days later, he stole a car at the edge of the golf course, and he was cold, sleep deprived, and in constant pain from the sprained ankle. He drove back into Aspen, where 2 police officers noticed his car weaving in and out of its lane and pulled him over. He had been a fugitive for 6 days. In the car were maps of the mountain area around Aspen, and prosecutors were using to demonstrate the location of Karen Campbell's body with those maps. So, as his own attorney, Bundy had rights of discovery.
Rights of discovery? What is that exactly?
So he had access to the maps because he was his own attorney.
Holy fuck! So he could legally revisit the murder sites.
Well, no, but he had access to the maps. He wasn't legally able to return to the sites, but he was legally able to. If
he's his own attorney, he would be police escorted, but he could probably do it.
Yeah.
So, in the movie, he ate someone's brains. Oh yeah, that scene.
That was
in Hannibal.
Was so cool, actually.
Where Ray Liotta, where he actually cut back the skin on the brain, which they messed up because the actual skin or whatever on top of the brain is actually not clear in any way, shape, or form.
This part actually, by the way, would hurt like a bitch to slice open.
But he,
I know he numbed it.
He numbed it, but when he got past that layer and all stuff, and he sliced off a piece of the frontal lobe, and then he fried it up and fed it to Ray Liotta, his own brain, and then at the end of it, when he's on the plane, and the kid's like, "What's that?" And he's all, "Oh, that's berries and that and that." And he's all, "What's that?" He's
Fava beans.
"That's something special." He's all, "Well, which one do you want?" And then the kid's like, he's all, "Can I try it?" "If you want." He started to feed the brain to the kid.
Mm-hmm. That's how you get Kuru.
Yep.
So indicating that his escape was not a spontaneous act, but he had planned it by becoming his own attorney. So back in jail in Glenwood Springs, Bundy ignored the advice of his friends and legal advisors to stay put. The case against him, already weak at best, was deteriorating steadily as pretrial motions consistently resolved in his favor and significant bits of evidence were ruled inadmissible. A more rational defendant might have realized that he stood a good chance of acquittal.
Oh,
and that beating the murder charge in Colorado would probably have dissuaded other prosecutors. With as little as a year and a half to serve on the DeRange conviction, Ted had persevered. He could have been free.
So
instead, Bundy assembled a new escape plan. He acquired a detailed floor plan of the jail and a hacksaw blade from other inmates. And accumulated $500 in cash, smuggled in over a 6-month period. He later said by visitors, Carol Ann Boone in particular. During the evenings, while other prisoners... Excuse me for a second.
Sorry.
Hey, little bit.
Hi, a little bit.
What's up? So, where was I? During the evening...
While
other prisoners were showering, he would saw a hole about 1 square foot between the steel reinforcing the bars and his cell ceiling, and having lost 35 pounds, was able to wriggle through it into the crawl space above. In the weeks that followed, he made a series of practice runs exploring the space. Multiple reports from an informant of movement within the ceiling. What? Oh, there were multiple reports of an informant about movements in the ceiling at night, and they were never investigated.
So, something you want to watch, and I'll recommend it right now, is actually really, really good, is the Bundy tapes on Netflix.
4 minutes, jeez.
They're the Bundy tapes on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it goes into detail about what they said right here, because this is straight up a narcissistic move. If he would just listen to other people, got out of his own way, he would have got away with a lot of the shit. Could have went on and could have got free for years and years and years. But no, he thought he was smarter than everyone else, believed he was basically God and get away with anything, and got put right back. Well, I mean, he got away for, I think, a few more months, but they caught right back up to him.
So by late 77, Bundy's impending trial had become a cause célèbre in a small town of Aspen, and Bundy filed a motion for a change of venue to Denver. On the 23rd of December, the Aspen trial judge granted the request, but to Colorado Springs, where juries had historically been hostile to murder suspects. On the night of December 30th, with most of the jail staff on Christmas break and nonviolent prisoners on furlough with their families, Bundy piled books and files in his bed, covered them with a blanket to simulate a sleeping body, and climbed into the crawl space. He broke through the ceiling into the apartment of the chief jailer, who was out for the evening with his wife, changed into street clothes from the jailer's closet, and walked out the front door to freedom.
Jesus Christ. Because I always get it confused. I keep thinking that he actually escaped through the bars and all that. But the second time, he just walked away like it was nothing.
And this is why he was cocky.
People in fucking Colorado are stupid.
Pretty much.
Just kidding. If you're from Colorado, I'm just kidding.
I just like the Broncos.
I love the Broncos. I don't even know if they won tonight.
No.
So,
after stealing a car, Bundy drove eastward out of Glenwood Springs, but the car soon broke down in the mountains on Interstate 70. A passing motorist gave him a ride to Vail, 60 miles to the east. From there, he caught a bus to Denver, where he boarded a morning flight to Chicago and Glenwood Springs. The jail's skeleton crew did not discover the escape until noon.
You had this high-profile killer.
December 31st. More than 17 hours later. By then, Bundy was already in Chicago.
You had a high-profile killer.
And you weren't watching him.
And you had a skeleton crew.
Yep.
What the fuck? The picture we have of him right now, we're going to show.
This is in Florida.
This is in Florida. Flo Rida. Yeah, he's super nonchalant about a lot of stuff.
He don't care. He don't give a shit. I already have it up here.
Oh, yeah, we do.
So this is him in Florida, by the way, which we're about to get to.
He don't give a fuck.
He's like, fuck.
You got
I'll
me.
Just get out again.
You got me. You got the Bundy. You got the Bundy.
So from Chicago, Bundy traveled by train to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where he was present in a local tavern on January 2nd. 5 days later, he stole a car and drove to Atlanta, where he boarded a bus and traveled to Tallahassee, Florida. On the morning of January 8th, he rented a room under the alias of Chris Hagen at the Holiday Inn near the Florida State University campus. Bundy later said that he initially resolved to find legitimate employment and refrain from further criminal activity.
That's fucking hilarious. I tried to go straight. I really did. But the system just brings you right back into killing and murdering and raping. What the fuck, man?
So, knowing he could probably remain free and undetected in Florida indefinitely as long as he did not attract the attention of the police, but his only job application.
Yeah, we won today. Fuck, we won today. Nice.
Okay,
Sorry.
God.
Broncos won today.
Okay.
32-27.
Stop yelling. He only put in one job application at a construction site, and it had to be abandoned when he was asked to produce identification. He reverted to his old habits of shoplifting and stealing credit cards from women's wallets and that were left in shopping carts. He's the reason why little old ladies latch their wallets and purses into the shopping carts and hold onto the cart like this.
Really?
I'm joking.
I believe it.
I mean, he's kind of the reason, but...
We need to see that picture right there.
What, Levy and Bowman?
Yep. That's from the sorority. I thought we had most show prep done today. I didn't have it all done.
Yep.
Oh, well. Oh, there's our banner. Where's it at? Where's it at? There we go.
Woo!
Okay. On with it. We got to get through this.
Says the one that keeps trying to distract me.
Okay.
All right. So, in the early hours of January 15th, 1978, 1 week after his arrival in Tallahassee, Bundy entered a FSU Chi Omega sorority house through a rear door with a faulty lock mechanism. Beginning at about 2:45 a.m., he bludgeoned Margaret Bowman, 21, with a piece of oak firewood as she slept, then garroted her with a nylon stocking. He then entered the bedroom of 20-year-old Lisa Levy and beat her unconscious, strangled her, tore one of her nipples, bit deeply into her left buttocks, and sexually assaulted her with a hair mist bottle. So hairspray.
Yep.
In an adjoining room, he attacked Kathy Kleiner, breaking her jaw and deeply lacerating her shoulder. Karen Chandler, who survived the attack, but suffered a concussion, a broken jaw, and loss of teeth and a crushed finger. So actually, both Kleiner and Chandler survived the attack.
Yeah, they were severely disfigured.
They later attributed the survival to automobile headlights illuminating the interior of their room and frightening away the attacker.
Also, too, they were disfigured from this attack. Like, they were really messed up from it. Not just, like, psychological, but I think they actually they didn't go...
We don't have a picture of it.
They don't have a picture of it, but they did have brain damage, too. One of them did. So,
well, yeah.
So it wasn't just a concussion.
After leaving the sorority house, Bundy broke into a basement apartment 8 blocks away and attacked another FSU student, Cheryl Thomas, dislocating her shoulder and fracturing her jaw and skull in 5 places. She was left with permanent deafness, equilibrium damage, and ended her dancing career because of it.
Wow. Christopher, ass eater actually came from Dahmer. Just kidding, man.
Have you seen the girl that got...
Well, do you want
Bundy's
to show Levy
teeth?
and Bowman real fast?
Okay, speak up for me. God.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's actually a lot of people who've actually gotten tattoos of Bundy's teeth.
You kind of got to squint a little to see it better.
A little fuzzy, but that's Levy and Bowman. That's the 2 who didn't survive.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. Oh,
no, they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't survive. The other.
So there was something I'm going to look up.
Yeah, his teeth. There's actually several women who've gotten his teeth tattooed on the spot on their ass, where he would have bit them.
This one is particularly the most famous, probably.
Yeah. People, man, I swear to God, they just
Are stupid.
they're downloaded.
No.
Yeah, they're fucking should be in downloads.
Stop for a second.
Sorry. Yeah, they're this love affair. Like, look, I mean, like we have
Look at this.
an idea of, hey, true crime. We're all into true crime and all this other stuff, and we listen to it. But these people, they go a step further, and it's like they would love to marry them.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts. So, hey, Tim.
Jesus Christ, babe.
I love you.
I love you too. Now put the beer down. God. Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh. Our weed shop has
All right. So
THC Sour Patch Kids.
after leaving the sorority house, we know that he broke into that basement apartment 8 blocks away and attacked Cheryl Thompson, dislocating her shoulder, fracturing her jaw and skull in 5 places. She was left with, the equilibrium problems, which ultimately ended her dancing career. On Thomas's bed, police found a semen stain and a pantyhose mask containing 2 hairs similar to Bundy's in class and characteristic. On February 8th, Bundy drove 150 miles east to Jacksonville in a stolen FSU van. In a parking lot, he approached 14-year-old Leslie Parmenter, the daughter of Jacksonville Police Department's chief of detectives, identifying himself as Richard Burton of the fire department, but retreated when Parmenter's older brother arrived and challenged him. That afternoon, he backtracked 60 miles westward to Lake City. At Lake City Junior High School, he followed 12-year-old Kimberly Diane Leach and was summoned to her homeroom by a teacher to retrieve a forgotten purse. She never returned to class. Who was summoned by her homeroom teacher to retrieve a forgotten purse. She never returned to class.
This was his berserk mode right here.
This is absolutely his berserk mode.
Well, because he actually was constantly in a berserk mode where it was, the sort of his one after another, after another, after another. Well, his berserk mode was actually going after kids.
Yeah.
This was very much out of necessity. He had to get the kill. He had to do it, and it was his addiction, just getting a hold of him, real bad.
So, 7 weeks later, after an intensive search, her partially mummified remains were found in a pig farrowing shed near Suwannee River State Park, 35 miles northwest of Lake City. She appeared to have been raped, with her underwear found near the body containing semen, and killed by violence to the neck with a knife. On February 12th, with insufficient cash to pay his overdue rent and a growing suspicion that police were closing in on him, Bundy stole a car and fled to Tallahassee, driving westward across the Florida Panhandle. 3 days later, around 1 a.m., he was stopped by Pensacola police officer David Lee near the Alabama state line after a wants and warrant check showed his Volkswagen Beetle was stolen. So he was still driving a bug?
Well, your friends. You like what you like,
I guess.
I'm gonna stick with Chevys. I like Chevys.
Yeah, but like if you're trying to have a low profile, why would you go for something you normally like?
The real reason is that
they were popular back then.
Volkswagen, they weren't just popular; they're prevalent. They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And they were cheap, so a lot of people had them.
So, yeah.
Was Navy?
When told he was under arrest, Bundy kicked Lee's leg out from under him and took off running. Lee fired a warning shot followed by a second round, gave chase and tackled him. The two struggled over the gun before the officer finally subdued and arrested Bundy. In the stolen vehicle, there were 3 sets of IDs belonging to female FSU students, 21 stolen credit cards, and a stolen television set. Also found were a pair of dark-rimmed non-prescription glasses, a pair of plaid slacks, later identified as the disguise worn by Richard Burton, the fire department.
Dick Burton.
In Jacksonville, As Lee transported his suspect to jail, unaware that he had just arrested one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives, he heard Bundy say, "I wish you had killed me."
I'm fucking evil, man. I swear to God, I laugh at the most fucked up shit.
So, Florida trials and marriage.
Yep. Here we go.
Easy to customize. You're right, Shanra.
And then Natalie, they were popular and cheap back then. Mikey, the USS Pink Panties. What the fuck, man? You guys are fucking hilarious. You and Tom crack me up.
All right. So, following a change of venue to Miami, Bundy stood trial for the Chiomega homicides and assaults in June of '79. The trial was covered by 250 reporters from 5 continents and was the first to be televised nationally in the United States. Despite the presence of 5 court-appointed attorneys, Bundy again handled much of his own defense.
Narcissism,
From the
man.
beginning, he sabotaged the entire defense efforts out of spite, distrust, grandiose delusion. Ted was facing murder charges with a possible death sentence, and all that mattered to him, apparently, was that he be in charge. So, according to Mike Minerva, a Tallahassee public defender and member of the defense team, a pre-trial plea bargain was negotiated in which Bundy would plead guilty to killing Levy, Bowman, and Leach in exchange for the firm 75-year sentence. Prosecutors were amenable to a deal, or amenable, by one account, because prospects of losing at trial were very good. Bundy, on the other hand, saw the plea deal not only as a means to avoid the death penalty, but as a tactical move. He could enter his plea, then wait a few years for evidence to disintegrate or become lost, for witnesses to die, move on, or retract their testimonies. Once the case against him had deteriorated beyond repair, he could file a post-conviction motion to set aside the plea and secure an acquittal. At the last minute, however, Bundy refused the deal. It made him realize he was going to have to stand up in front of the whole world and say that he was guilty, and he just couldn't do that. Hey, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin. My Nerva.
Minerva.
Oh. Minerva. Sorry.
So, here you go. This is
His teeth.
God damn it. Bundy's teeth x-rays. Check these bad boys out. So this is actually during the court proceedings. Basically them going, look at these fucked up teeth. No other teeth could have made these impressions.
It was actually pretty accurate to sit there and say that. But at the same time, going by teeth impressions at the time, wasn't an exact science.
Yet.
Yeah, and they were like, there's no way that you could have got away with this, but look how fucked up your teeth are, and it matches the bite right here. So, hey,
how
Danny.
are you?
Yeah.
So, at trial, crucial testimony came from Chi Omega sorority members Connie Hastings, who placed Bundy in the vicinity of the Chi Omega house that evening, and Nita Neary, who saw him leaving the sorority house clutching the oak murder weapon. Incriminating physical evidence included impressions of the bite wounds Bundy had inflicted on Lisa Levy's left buttock, ass cheek, which forensic odontologist Richard Sauvignon?
Dick Sauvignon.
Silveron and Lowell Levine matched to castings of Bundy's teeth. The jury deliberated for less than 7 hours before convicting him on July 24th, 1979, of the Bowman and Levy murders, 3 counts of attempted first-degree murder for the assaults on Kleiner, Chandler, and Thomas, and 2 counts of burglary. The trial judge, Edward Cowart, imposed death sentences for the murder convictions.
We said hello to Danny, right?
Yes, we did.
Hello, Danny. Yep, say it again.
6 months later, a second trial took place in Orlando for the abduction and murder of Kimberly Leach. Bundy was found guilty once again. After less than 8 hours deliberation, due principally to the testimony of an eyewitness who saw him leading Leach from the schoolyard to his stolen van, important material evidence included clothing fibers with an unusual manufacturing error found in the van and on Leach's body, which matched fibers from the jacket Bundy was wearing when he was arrested. During the penalty phase of the trial, Bundy took advantage of an obscure Florida law providing that a marriage declaration in court in the presence of a judge constituted a legal marriage. As he was questioning former Washington State DES co-worker Carol Ann Boone, who had moved to Florida to be near Bundy, had testified on his behalf during the trial and was again testifying on his behalf as a character witness, he asked her to marry him. She accepted, and Bundy declared to the court that they were legally married.
So it was actually one of those awkward things because he knew about this, but like to hear the audio, you can actually go and hear it like on the Bundy tapes on Netflix and stuff like that, or on YouTube. You can go and check it all out. It was he was going into whatever he was doing, and then he looked at her and he's all, "Do you love me?" And she's all, "Yes, I do." He's all, "I love you." And then he's all, "Would you marry me?" And she's all, "Yes, I will. I'll marry you too." Yeah. It was like fucking like just out of the ordinary, awkward, and it was just he literally changed his personality like that, and everyone saw for what it was. It was him trying just to get out of the death row, you know.
Mm-hmm. So on February 10, 1980, Bundy was sentenced to a third time to death by electrocution. As the sentence was announced, he reportedly stood and shouted, "Tell the jury they were wrong." This third death sentence would be the one ultimately carried out in nearly 9 years. What?
Well, they were so pissed at him that they got their necromancers involved. They're like, "We're going to revive you 2 other times to murder you on the third time."
Right. So death row, confessions, and death. Yeah, that woman definitely needed a CAT scan.
Yeah, I want to say, too, that was the mother of his daughter, too.
Shit.
I think it was.
She seemed to honestly believe, it's right here, that he was innocent for some weird fucking reason.
Well, even if a lot of these people, a lot of these women, like Richard Ramirez, how many women did they have come seen him on death row?
God, he's disgusting.
And fucking them and stuff like that? Like, they all fell in love with him.
He had poor hygiene, which is a huge thing for me.
These chicks who are into Richard Ramirez are just fucked in the head.
Extremely.
Just like really fucked in the head. Who were just like, even to this day, like there's chicks out there who are like, "Oh Richard Ramirez, I love you so much." It's like he would brutally murder you. Is that what you want?
Apparently.
You're into dudes with no teeth and fucking shitty hygiene. I know he got his teeth fixed in prison, but still.
No, he got his teeth fixed before prison in an attempt to
that's right.
throw the trial.
That's right. Yeah.
Because they couldn't compare the teeth.
Yeah, Shauna, yeah, you're right. That is the mother of his daughter.
So shortly after the conclusion of the Leach trial and the beginning of the long appeals process that followed, Bundy initiated a series of interviews with Stephen Mitchell and Hugh Ainsworth, speaking mostly in third person to avoid the stigma of confession.
Hugh Ainsworth.
He began for the first time to divulge details of his crimes and thought processes. He recounted his career as a thief, confirming Clover's longtime suspicion that he had shoplifted virtually everything of substance that he owned. The big payoff for me, he said, was actually possessing whatever it was I had stolen. I really enjoyed having something that I had wanted and gone out and taken. Possession proved to be an important motive for rape and murder in killing his victims.
Well, exactly.
As a matter of expediency, to eliminate the possibility of being caught. But later, murder became part of the adventure. The ultimate possession was, in fact, the taking of life, he said, and then the physical possession of the remains. Bundy also confided in Special Agent William Hagmeyer, of the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, that after a while, murder was not just a crime of lust or violence. It becomes possession. They are part of you. The victim becomes part of you, and you two are forever one. And the grounds where you kill them or leave them become sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them. Bundy told Hagmeyer that he considered himself to be an amateur and an impulsive killer in his early years before moving into what he termed his prime or predator phase. At about the time of Linda Healy's murder in 1974, this implied that he began killing well before 1974, although he never explicitly admitted to having done so.
Well, it comes back to the whole, he wasn't proud of killing kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of killers, a lot of serial killers, the kills they're not proud of, they won't talk about. They keep them to themselves. You know, another killer, Shawcross.
Which we're going to be doing soon.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Shawcross soon. We just need to get a friend in on it. He wasn't proud of killing a couple of the kids he killed. He wouldn't talk about them. But everyone else that he did kill, the sex workers and stuff like that, he went into graphic detail, everything like that.
So in July of 1984, Rayford guards found 2 hacksaw blades that Bundy had hidden in his cell, a steel bar in one of the cell's windows that had been sawed completely through at the top and bottom and glued back into place with a homemade soap-based adhesive. Several months later, guards found an unauthorized mirror hidden in the cell, and Bundy was again moved to a different cell. Shortly thereafter, he was charged with a disciplinary infraction of unauthorized correspondence with another high-profile criminal.
Does it say?
John Hinckley Jr.
What?
You don't remember that?
I did not know he was in contact with him.
Yep.
What the fuck?
So in October of 1984, Bundy contacted Robert Keppel and offered to share his self-proclaimed expertise in serial killer psychology. In the ongoing hunt in Washington for the Green River Killer, later identified as Gary Ridgway, Keppel and Green River Task Force Detective Dave Reichert interviewed Bundy, but Ridgway remained at large for another 17 years. Keppel published a detailed documentation of the Green River Killer interviews. And by the way, if you ever get the chance to watch, I think it was on Cold Case Files, you get to hear him talk. Yep.
I'll get the promos made.
So, Keppel published a detailed documentation of the Green River interviews and later collaborated with Mitchell on another examination of the interview and the interview materials. Excuse me. Bundy coined the nickname the Riverman for Gary Ridgway, which was later used for the title of Keppel's book, The Riverman, Ted Bundy and I Hunt for the Green River Killer. In early 1986, an execution date, March 4th, was set on the Chi Omega convictions. The Supreme Court issued a brief stay, but the execution was quickly rescheduled. In April, shortly after the new date of July 2nd was announced, Bundy finally confessed to Hagmeyer and Nelson what they believed was the full range of his his fucking crimes.
Depredations.
Yeah. Sure.
Of his fucking crimes. Fuck this dude.
Including details of what he did to some of his victims after their deaths.
Yeah, he was a necrophile.
We've said that a billion times now.
I'll keep saying it. He was a
He told
necrophile.
them that he revisited Taylor Mountain, Issaquah, and other secondary crime scenes, often several times, to lie with his victims and perform sexual acts with their decomposing bodies, until putrefaction forced him to stop. In some cases, he drove for several hours each way and remained an entire night. In Utah, he applied makeup to Melissa Smith's lifeless face. He repeatedly washed Laura Ames's hair. If you've got time, he told Hagemeyer, they can be anything you want them to be. He decapitated approximately 12 of his victims with a hacksaw and kept at least one group of severed heads, probably the 4 later found in Taylor Mountain, in his apartment for a period of time before disposing of them.
What did he call him again? This garden? Or
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. And look what Andrew said. You both made me feel better.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm
That
glad.
was what we wanted to do.
So, less than 15 hours before the scheduled execution, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals stayed it indefinitely and remanded the Chi Omega case for review on multiple technicalities, including Bundy's mental competency to stand trial and an erroneous instruction by the trial judge during the penalty phase requiring the jury to break a 6-6 tie between life of imprisonment and the death penalty, which ultimately were never resolved. A new date of November 18th, 1986 was then set to carry out the Leach sentence. The 11th Circuit Court issued a stay on November 17th. In mid-1988, the 11th Circuit Court ruled against Bundy, and in December, the Supreme Court denied a motion to review the ruling. Within hours of the final denial, a firm execution date of January 24th, 1989 was announced.
God, I remember that.
Bundy's journey through the appeals courts had been unusually rapid for a capital murder case. Contrary to belief, the courts moved Bundy as fast as they could. Even the prosecutors acknowledged that Bundy's lawyers never employed delaying tactics. Though people everywhere seethed at the apparent delay in execution, the archdemon Ted Bundy was actually on the fast track.
I remember that. That was the first trial I ever remembered because I was 8 years old
I was 3.
when it happened, and I remember it was all over the news, all over everything, all over. It was everywhere. People protest, like not protesting, but advocating for his death. Also outside the prison, I remember all of it.
So, with all appeal avenues exhausted and no further motivation to deny his crimes, Bundy agreed to speak frankly with investigators. He confessed to Keppel that he had committed all 8 of the Washington and Oregon homicides for which he was the prime suspect. He described 3 additional previously unknown victims in Washington and 2 in Oregon whom he declined to identify, if indeed he ever knew their identities. He said he left a 5th corpse, Donna Manson's, on Taylor Mountain, but incinerated her head in the fireplace of his fiancée, Clover. All the things I did to Clover, of all the things I did to Clover, this was probably the one she is least likely to forgive me for. Poor Liz. He described the Issaquah crime scene where the bones of Otto, Naslund, and Hawkins were found. And it was almost like he was just there. Like he was seeing everything. He was infatuated with the idea because he spent so much time there. He is just so totally consumed with murder all the time. Nelson's impressions were similar. It was the absolute misogyny of his crimes that stunned me, she wrote. His manifest rage against women. He had no compassion at all. He was totally engrossed with the details. His murders were his life's accomplishment. Bundy confessed to detectives from Idaho, Utah, and Colorado that he had committed numerous additional homicides, including several that were unknown to the police. He explained that when he was in Utah, he could bring his victims back to his apartment, where he could reenact scenarios depicted on the covers of detective magazines.
Fucking hell, man.
A ulterior strategy quickly became apparent. He withheld many details, hoping to parlay the incomplete information into yet another stay of execution. There are other buried remains in Colorado, he admitted, but refused to elaborate. The new strategy, immediately dubbed Ted's Bones for Time scheme, served only to deepen the resolve of authorities to see Bundy executed on schedule, and yielded little to new detailed information in cases where he did give details. Nothing was found.
Angie, are you on Psychomantium or Psycho Bunny? I can go check real fast.
And whoever's doing this, them can fuck off.
Ugh.
I bet you I can fucking tell you who they are.
Who's Leon Small?
No fucking clue. But hello, Leon.
Hello, Leon.
Oh, maybe it's just hate towards what he did.
Yeah.
My apologies. Don't fuck off. It's okay. Oh. Fuck me.
Oh!
Okay. Well then, yes, fuck off. It's okay. Apparently.
Where you go?
There
Natalie.
we go.
One of them.
I see F you. So, we're going to go with fuck off.
Banhammer. Banhammer. User was blocked. Oh, Leon Small. I'm going to go find this guy.
SMOLL.
Must have been Slade. I mean, bootlicker.
All right. Bye, bootlicker. Let's see. So, Colorado detective Matt Lindvall interpreted this as a conflict between his desire to postpone his execution by divulging information and his need to remain in total possession, the only person who knew his victim's true resting place. When it became...
It was one of them. I'm going to say it out loud.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Whatever. Get a fucking life, morons.
Yeah.
Suck my chode.
Natalie, you got the banhammer. Yes.
So, when it became clear that no further stay would be forthcoming from the courts, Bundy supporters began lobbying for the only remaining option, executive clemency. Diana Weiner, a young Florida attorney, I would change my name, and Bundy's last purported love interest, asked the families of several Colorado and Utah victims to petition Florida Governor Bob Martinez for a postponement to give Bundy some time to reveal more information. All refused. The families already believed that the victims were dead and that Ted had killed them. They didn't need his confession. Martinez made it clear that he would not agree to further days in any case. I said Wiener. We are not going to have the system manipulated. For him to be negotiating for his life over the bodies of victims is despicable, is what Martinez said. So Boone had championed Bundy's innocence throughout all of his trial and felt deeply betrayed by his admission that he was in fact guilty. She moved back to Washington with her daughter and refused to accept his phone call on the morning of his execution. She was hurt by his relationship with Diana Weiner. Nelson wrote,
He was hurt by the wiener.
I prefer Pecker.
All right, Angie.
And devastated by his sudden wholesale confession in his last days.
Wholesale confession. I work in a warehouse. I know what wholesale is. He gave that confession at discount prices.
Hagmaier was present during Bundy's final interviews with investigators on the eve of his execution. He talked of suicide, didn't want to give the state the satisfaction of watching him die. Bundy died in a Rayford electric chair at 7:16 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 24th, 1989. Hundreds of revelers dancing, singing, and setting off fireworks in pastures across from the prison
like I said,
as the execution was carried out, then cheered as the white hearse containing Bundy's corpse departed the prison. He was cremated in Gainesville, and his ashes were scattered at an undisclosed location in the Cascade Range of Washington State, in accordance with his will.
Tom, Natalie, all of us, we're all around the same, generation, whatever. You guys, I don't know if do you guys remember the trial and all that stuff and all the protests? I remember. I was 3. It was 89. I remember it. I remember watching it on TV with my dad and my mom. It was all over the news all nights and all this stuff, and we were just watching it. It was first time I ever saw anything like this. And the next time I saw anything after that was OJ.
So, God, I remember signs. Drink cranberry juice. OJ kills. Mm-hmm. We should do one on OJ Simpson.
We should. OJ's
Are we able to?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So modus operandi and victim profiles. Bundy was an unusually organized and calculated criminal who used his extensive knowledge of law enforcement and methodologies to elude identification and capture for years. His crime scenes were distributed over large geographic areas. His victim count had risen to at least 20 before it became clear that numerous investigators in widely disparate jurisdictions were hunting the same man. His assault methods of choice were blunt trauma and strangulation, 2 relatively silent techniques that could be accomplished with common household items. He deliberately avoided firearms due to the noise they made and the ballistic evidence they left behind. He was a meticulous researcher who explored his surroundings in minute detail, looking for safe sites to seize and dispose of victims. He was unusually skilled at minimizing physical evidence. His fingerprints were never found at any crime scene, nor any other incontrovertible evidence of his guilt, a fact that he repeated often during the years, which he attempted to maintain his innocence through. Other significant obstacles for law enforcement were Bundy's generic, essentially anonymous physical features, and a curious chameleon-like ability to change his appearance almost at will. Early on, police complained of the futility of showing his photograph to witnesses. He looked different in virtually every photo he had ever taken. In person, his expression would so change his whole appearance that there were moments that you weren't even sure you were looking at the same person.
We could actually show a couple pictures again of him, and that's actually pretty accurate.
So,
he was really good at doing that. Like the pictures we already have saved of him, he was actually pretty good at doing that. He was a narcissist. He knew how to show who he wanted to be,
So Natalie says she thinks she remembers the protests.
Yeah.
I have a very vague recollection because I know my mom watched all of that.
I remember it.
But again, I was 3, so it's a very vague recollection. So as for Bundy and how he looked,
there's that one.
Wait, let's go to high school unibrow.
But then go show this one.
So here's that.
And then the one in prison.
Then there's that. Hold on, I'm not done. And then, of course, there's this, which is a little elongated.
Does a good job of changing who he is. Simply.
And that.
And then there's, I kind of want to say he looks like Woody Harrelson here. Not Woody Harrelson.
I'm just saying there's
Manson
the director?
Bundy. What's the director? Woody
Allen?
Woody Allen. Yep. Definitely looks like Woody Allen here.
So, he was really a changeling.
Yep.
Bundy was well aware of this unusual quality, and he exploited it, using subtle modifications of facial hair or style to significantly alter his appearance as necessary. He concealed his one distinctive identifying mark, a dark mole on his neck, with turtleneck shirts and sweaters. Even his Volkswagen Beetle proved difficult to pin down. Its color was variously described by witnesses as metallic or non-metallic, tan or bronze, light brown or dark brown. His modus operandi involved an organization and sophistication over time, or evolved rather. As typical of serial killers, according to the FBI experts. Early on, it consisted of forcible late-night entry followed by a violent attack with a blunt weapon on a sleeping victim. He left Sparks for dead while Healy was kidnapped. As his methodology methodology evolved, Bundy became progressively more organized in his choice of victims and crime scenes. He would employ various ruses designed to lure his victims to the vicinity of his vehicle where he had pre-positioned a weapon, usually a crowbar. In many cases, he requested assistance in carrying something to his vehicle. Bundy was regarded as handsome and charismatic, traits he exploited to win the confidence of his victims and the people around him in his daily life.
Real
Ted
fast.
lured females.
He was very manipulative, and if you bring up a picture of him real fast,
Looks like Neil Diamond.
he
I
knows.
always heard how Bundy was a good-looking guy and how it helped him acquire victims. I always thought he looked like a creepy alternate version of Mr. Rogers.
Well, okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing with him. He was charismatic, and charisma actually goes a long way with people.
That's true.
Yeah, it doesn't. So bring a picture of him right there. Like, yeah, we see him as a demon, as someone who's fucked up looking.
I mean, he looks like Bates right there. Not Norman Bates. Not Norman Bates. I didn't mean Norman Bates.
Well, it was the same.
Patrick Bates.
Patrick Bateman
Bateman, you're
from
right.
American Psycho.
I always get those all fucking.
Well,
But
Bateman,
yeah, no, look
it
at
was based on
actually that look right there.
when you're
Is
looking
exactly.
when you're looking at Ted Bundy right now, we're seeing him with what we know about him. But if you look at him through eyes in the 70s, you didn't know anything about him, you're like, well, he's a handsome guy. He's just a normal guy. What the fuck, man? Why are you guys coming after him? And then all of a sudden the evidence.
Oh yeah, totally handsome guy.
Well, yeah, he's just a
Unibrow.
nerd. He's just a nerd right there. He's in high school. You look at him through those eyes,
Wax the unibrow, bro.
and everyone's going like, yeah, he could actually pick up chicks. He could be nice, charismatic, and pick up
And
people.
that's what a lot of people said. On break, can hear. Hey, Carl.
Yay! Mr. Rogers, no one wants to be his neighbor, right? But yeah, anyway.
Okay, so
Almost done. I think.
You kind of.
Clapped in your ear.
Yep.
Clapton.
So Ted lured females the way a lifeless silk flower can dupe a honeybee. In situations where his looks and charms were not useful, he invoked authority by identifying himself as a police officer or firefighter. Once Bundy had them near or inside his vehicle, he would overpower and bludgeon them.
Yeah.
And then restrain them with handcuffs, and he would then transport them to a pre-selected secondary site, often a considerable distance away, and strangle them by ligature during the act of rape.
That's another thing where he was actually should have got. If he was smart, he would have taken the first plea deal, because everywhere there would have been any type of evidence was out in the woods. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and the only thing they would have found was a body, fingerprints, DNA evidence.
They didn't have anything.
They wouldn't be able to get it. But his narcissism took over and was like, no, we can beat this because we're smarter than everyone.
At secondary sites, he would remove and later burn the victim's clothing. Or in at least one case, Cunningham's, deposit them in a Goodwill Industries collection box. But Bundy explained that the clothing removal was ritualistic, but also a practical matter, as it minimized the chance of leaving any trace evidence at the crime scene that would implicate him. A manufacturer error in fibers from his own clothing ironically proved to be a crucial incriminating link to Kimberly Leach. He often revisited his second crime scenes to engage in acts of necrophilia and to groom or dress up the cadavers. Some victims were found wearing articles of clothing they had never worn, or a nail polish that family members had never seen. He took Polaroid photos of many of his victims. When you work hard to do something right, you don't want to forget it, he said.
This is all confessions. Like, he kept the stuff to himself until the very end. This confession right here, whatever he's saying right now, it actually came out, I think, days before his execution.
Mm-hmm. Consumption of large quantities of alcohol was an essential component, he told both Keppel and Mitchell. He needed to be extremely drunk while on the prowl in order to significantly diminish his inhibitions and to sedate the dominant personality he feared might prevent his inner entity from acting on impulses. Toward the end of his spree in Florida, perhaps under the stress of being a fugitive, he regressed to indiscriminate attacks on sleeping victims. All of Bundy's known victims were white females, most of them middle class
Middle ass,
backgrounds.
bitch. Sorry.
Almost all were between the ages of 15 and 25, and most were college students. He apparently never approached anyone he might have met before. In their last conversation before his execution, Bundy told Cloffer he had purposely stayed away from her when he felt the power of his sickness building in him. Rule noted that most of the identified victims had long hair, parted in the middle, like Stephanie Brooks, the woman who had rejected him.
He would have came after me from behind.
No, they were brunettes.
Oh.
And to whom he later became engaged and then rejected in return. Rule speculated that Bundy's animosity towards his first girlfriend triggered his protracted rampage and caused him to target victims who resembled her. Bundy dismissed this hypothesis. They just fit a general criteria of being young and attractive. He told Ainsworth. Too many people have brought this crap that all the girls were similar, but almost everything was dissimilar. Physically, they were almost all different. He did concede that youth and beauty were absolutely indispensable criteria in his choice of victims.
So, right now, the logic of his childhood was messed up. His whatever was messed up. Yeah, his grandfather or his grandfather dad he was a disciplinarian and he was a little slightly abusive. But I don't.
And his auntie mama.
He wasn't abusive towards Ted Bundy. He was just disciplined. He was very much authoritarian to him. He had no brain trauma, no nothing. And this is right here. This is society trying to make sense of this. And really what it was is Ted Bundy just wanted to kill.
He just wanted to do it.
He wanted to kill. He wanted to rape. And he knew how to get away with a lot of it if he killed his rape victims. That's what it was. So
they can't say shit.
Yeah.
If they're not alive.
One thing a lot of serial killers learn, the vast majority of male serial killers, it's sexual. They learn that if they want to go out and rape, not me, I don't ever want to do that shit. That's just fucked up. But if they want to go out and rape, they know if they murder the victim, throw the body away in some dark, secluded area, they're going to at least get away with it for a few months, maybe a few years.
That's right. Who knows? Bundy was just mean.
Yeah, he was just a fucked up, mean dude. That's all there was to it. So, I mean, Kemper at least had an excuse. Kemper's mother created the monster. I mean, like literally created the monster.
So after Bundy's execution, Ann Rule was surprised and troubled to hear from numerous sensitive, intelligent, kind young women who wrote or called to say they were deeply depressed because Bundy was dead. Many had corresponded with him, each believing that she was his only one. Several said they suffered nervous breakdowns when he died. Even in death, Ted damaged women.
Yeah.
To get well, they must realize that they were conned by the master con man. They were grieving for a shadow man that never existed.
He was the lover man. That's what he was. When we get down to the victims.
So, Jesus, here we go. Victims. The night before his execution, Bundy confessed to 30 homicides, but the true total remains unknown. Published estimates have run as high as 100 or more.
Well, 30 women was confirmed.
Yes.
30 was confirmed.
But published estimates have run as high as 100 or more. And Ted Bundy occasionally made cryptic comments to encourage that speculation. He told Ainsworth in 1980 that for every murder publicized, there could be one that was not.
Yeah.
When FBI agents proposed a total tally of 36, Bundy responded, "Add one digit to that, and you'll have it." Years later, he told attorney Polly Nelson that the common estimate of 35 was accurate, but Keppel wrote that Ted and I both knew the total was much higher.
Yeah.
I don't think he even knew how many he killed or why he killed them.
Well, none. He helped out with Ridgway, and there was actually a big correlation
Fred
there.
Lawrence. Thank you.
Sorry.
I was finishing a sentence.
I'm sorry. My apologies. I'm sorry. So Ridgway and him had something in common. Ridgway had a piece of paper of the victims put in front
Hi,
of him.
Becky.
Becky.
I don't know who Becky is, but hi, Becky.
Hey, Becky. And Ridgway didn't remember any of half the victims. He just didn't remember them because there were so many of them.
So here you go. In Washington, there were 11. And Utah, there were 8. Colorado, 3. Florida, 3. Oregon, 2. Idaho, 2. And 1 in California.
Plus, didn't you say he
almost got Blondie.
He wouldn't talk about the kids. There was a few kids that they linked to him.
And the following is a chronological summary of the 20 identified victims and 5 identified survivors.
Yep.
Karen Sparks, January 4th, 1974. Linda Ann Healy, February 1st, 1974. Donna Gail Manson, March 12th, 1974. Susan Elaine Rancourt, April 17th, 1974. Roberta Kathleen Parks, May 6th, 1974. Brenda Carol Ball, June 1st, 1974. Georgia Ann Hawkins, June 11th, 1974. Janice Ann Ott, July 14th. Denise Marie Naslin, July 14th, both in 74. So here we go. October 2nd, 1974, Nancy Wilcox. Yeah. Melissa Ann Smith, October 18th, 1974. Laura Ann Aim, October 31st, 1974. Carol DeRanch, November 8th, 1974. Deborah Jean Kent, November 8th, 1974.
Can we go back real fast to the October 31st one?
Why?
Because I'm pretty sure you can tell simply the fact that it's October 31st, he did it to be a fucking ghoul.
Mm-hmm. I'm noticing there's a lot of Ann in the middle of the names there. So, Karen Eileen Campbell, January 12th, 1975. Julie Cunningham, March 15th, 1975. Denise Lynn Oliverson, April 6, 1975. Lynette Dawn Culver, May 6, 1975. Susan Curtis, June 28, 1975. Margaret Elizabeth Bowman, January 15th, 1978. Lisa Levy, January 15th, 1978. Karen Chandler, Kathy Kleiner, Cheryl Thomas, January 15th, 1978.
That was a sorority.
Yep. February 9th, 1978, Kimberly Diane Leach, 12 years old. Other possible victims, Anne Marie Burr in 1961. Lisa E. Wick and Lonnie Ree Trumbull, both 20, and they were bludgeoned to death on June 23rd, 1966. Susan Marguerite Davis and Elizabeth Perry, they were both 19 and stabbed to death May 30th, 1969. Let's see here. Rita Patricia Curran, 24 years old, July 19th, 1971. Joyce LePage, 21, July 22nd, 1971. Rita Lorraine Jolly, June 29th, 1973. Vicki Lynn Holler, August 20th, 1973. Catherine Mary Devine was only 14.
Yep.
November 25th, 1973. Joy Baker, May 27th, 1974. Let's see. Sandra Jean Weaver. July 1st, 1974. Melanie Susie Cooley. April 15th, 1975. Let's see. Shelley K. Robertson. July 1st, 1975. And Nancy Perry Baird. July 4th, 1975. Debbie Smith. February of 76. And those were some of the victims that possibly.
Bundy never had a serial killer name prior to that, because if it was in the early or the mid 60s, that's when he was just getting out of high school or in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Things were going on. I think it was when he was just getting,
Carrie Elwes played.
when he was just getting out of high school. Another thing, like, now that you bring up that it was like 2 a month, Bundy was in berserk mode from the beginning. Like, he literally was just murdering a lot of people every day, or not every day, every month. He would, his real berserk mode was the kids. When he would go after an underage person, because that's when he could control himself. It's hard to say that that him controlling himself was going after adults, but when he needed to get the kill in real fast, he went after something that he could get, and it's fucked up. It's like really fucked up, and it's another reason why I'm like, why do people want to get these
fucked up tattoos?
Fucked up tattoos of this guy. He's a messed up fucking person. Can we do this real fast?
Yeah, how do we do it?
I'll do it. So
that's the end of Bundy.
We have something special to show you guys right now.
Let's see what that says real fast.
I got. Yeah, how did he not get drafted for Vietnam? One of those things. Well, Bundy, his last name being B, he should have got drafted right away. But I think the fact that he went straight into college. I think he probably, more than likely, doesn't say that he got deferments, but more than likely he got deferments and stuff like that. So, yeah. So we have something special to show you guys real fast. We did this at the end so we wouldn't get muted. Share audio. Share that.
Here.
I got it. Hold on. You got to do something real fast, guys.
Why'd you remove it?
Oh, it's
right
up there
there.
already. So we're doing this. This is a music video that's fucking rad.
That fucking face.
I need a job with it.
I hear you.
I know. Oh, I'm saying, what's the R?
Oh, it's so good for this.
Stop screen share. That's it. That
All
was
right,
Bundy.
guys. So, let's see. Next week, we are talking about Folie à Deux.
The Madness of Two.
And we will also probably be talking about L'Épée de Vide, which is the Call of the Void.
Yeah. So, a part of it, I brought up to Natalie. I was like, I was texting her back and forth, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I just listened to the last podcast left, new episode, and they brought up the Madness of Two, or whatever." And I was like, we were going back and forth, and I was like, we should so do this. I was
That's
like,
something I already had knowledge on.
yeah,
too.
I was like, we all know, but I was like, well, we're doing this on next Friday. We're originally going to do Joe Ball. We're going to push that back
to the 15th.
to the 15th, but we're doing the Madness of Two.
Not this 15th, by the way.
The 15th of January.
Yeah.
We're doing the Madness of Two, which encompasses not just the Madness of Two, but like the madness in a familial unit, where one person can drive insanity among everyone.
A group of people.
Yeah. So we're doing that.
One person can be fucking nuts, and for some reason, they all fucking follow them.
Yeah. There's no reason for it because madness is actually, they've actually proved that madness is infectious too. It's a fucking disease.
Even over the internet.
Yep. Even over the internet. So tomorrow we have Doomsday.
Yep.
I'm producing the show. I'm helping him out.
Yeah, a lot of people have experienced Call of the Void and probably don't even know it.
No joke. I will tell you this right now. Every single time I'm up on something high, I can feel it in my chest going,
I remember
do you want to come down here? Well, the parking structure we were on, we went to see a movie.
Got together.
Yeah,
you were
was
like, I don't like being up here because I can feel it pulling me over.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
can feel the gravity on your shoulders, on your chest, pulling you over, and then all those thoughts run through your head.
mm-hmm.
Well, what would it be like if I flew right now? Because I'm going to live until I smack, or am I really going to die? Will I just be asleep? Or what's going to happen here? We'll find out. Oh, no, we won't find out. Sorry. I'm not killing myself. That's fucked up. But anyway, tomorrow night we have Doomsday. Wednesday,
Tuesday
is Psych and Cindy. Wednesday is Natalie. Friday is Into the Fire. And then us
Wednesday is Mother de la Mort.
Mother de la Mort. I'm sorry. Natalie is being put away in a chest by Mother de la Mort. I fucked up. I'm sorry.
God.
Friday is Into the Fire. Then us, our main day now is Fridays on Roots We Read. The only reason why we did this today is because we have a busy next week. Because we had to push things around if we would have did the show on Friday. And then Saturday is our Krampus show. We are doing Krampus Knock. Even though Krampus Knock just happened,
on the 5th.
We are actually having our Krampus Knock on December 19th at 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30
and we have special
Eastern.
guests.
We have special guests. We're going to have a whole thing of people. We're all going to have fun, tell stories.
I always feel
scary stories, because scary stories are supposed to be told on Thanksgiving, on Christmas.
Tom says he always feels the pull downward when he's up high, which is why heights will never be on Tom's world.
Yeah, I feel it every single time. I feel it when I go by a fucking. I hate snakes. I'm scared to death of snakes. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate them. If I see them out in the middle of nowhere, I stay the fuck away from them. But
you guys experienced
but walking by
the cemetery when I go, there's snake holes. Stop it.
But we have a California Living Museum, which is called Calm here, and they have an entire snake exhibit.
Snakes.
And I walk by the window every single time thinking, what if I have to stick my hand in there? What would happen?
I like snakes.
Yeah.
They let me hold Severus snake.
They have rattlesnakes. They have everything in there. They have everything local to California. So.
We're walking through and a lady's holding a snake and goes, "Do you want to hold him?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And she goes, "Well, this is Severus snake." And I was like, "Well, I love him even more now."
So yeah, we have Krampus.
So cute.
We have Into the Fire too. Into the Fire, Sid's doing a Christmas special on 8 o'clock Eastern time and 5 o'clock Pacific time.
Mhm.
And then we're on after that with our Christmas special. Hopefully, we get everyone together.
And then
Sunday,
don't forget, on Christmas, we are actually going to be on
Yeah. Oh, we're going to be on. Yeah, we're doing.
Kevorkian.
We're doing the Angel of Death on Christmas Day, Friday. We couldn't pass it up. Normally, we were actually talking about like all of us were talking about like taking a day off, but I was like, it's the Angel of Death on Christmas. We have to fucking do it. So.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. Now he's sending us on the DM.
And I was looking.
All right, I guess we're out. We're gonna go play this something out real fast. Pick something.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful night. This one.